Hello and welcome to this edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Michelle Marino.
At Arlington Public News, we bring you stories of interest to Arlington and surrounding communities. In tonight's newscast, we look at students in a robotics competition. We discuss the issue of vaccination, and we hear from a powerful organization that provides care to pediatric cancer patients.
Plus, a visit to Arlington's EcoFest. That and more up next. Stay with us.
The Arlington Police Department is looking for a few good candidates. The department is encouraging those interested in a career in law enforcement to register to take the statewide entry-level municipal and MBTA transit police exam. Arlington Police Chief Fred Ryan says they are looking to diversify their ranks. The last day to register for the civil service exam is Wednesday, March 25th. For more information on how to apply, visit mass.gov/civil service.
We want to congratulate the winner of the 2015 poster contest for the Arlington International Film Festival. 14-year-old Nathan Lowe produced a creative poster at the Community Arts Center in Cambridge. His graphic design work will be used as the official poster to advertise the festival. Congratulations, Nathan.
High schoolers have been busy working on robotics in Arlington, part of a Tech Challenge robotics competition. APN producer Gayatri Sundararajan has a look at how students are learning more than just engineering and technology.
The first Tech Challenge is more than just a robotics competition. It is a community. On Saturday, January 24th, 13 teams from across the state came to the Arlington High School to showcase their robotic skills. Each team came to the competition with a robot that they had designed, built, and programmed to complete the task at hand.
But we originally started out 1 day a week, but it just wasn't enough. We needed more robotics. So we eventually bumped it up 2 days a week, and we made it here finally.
Even though the teams were all given the same task, each robot was unique and had a specific talent. In the preliminary rounds, the teams and their robots were ranked by their motor skills, their design, and their technique. The top 4 teams would then create an alliance to continue into the elimination round.
Throughout the day, teams have been scouting one another to evaluate strengths, weaknesses, and possible strategies in elimination rounds. Each alliance captain is looking to make the strongest possible alliance to play out the rest of the tournament with.
Even though this is a competition, the atmosphere was full of admiration and enthusiasm.
I think honestly the energy's just been absolutely amazing. It's just the energy in the room, energy in all the teams. I mean, every team seemed to work pretty well together. I just can't, that's all I can say.
These students have a passion for robotics and have worked very hard to prepare for this competition.
We've actually been working on it for 4 or so months, but there have been some major modifications today and some major modifications to our strategy.
After a whole day of maneuvering robots, 2 teams outmaneuvered the rest, winning their spots into the state championship. The Technados from Dorchester and the Cougars from Reading.
Probably the elimination rounds because since both of us are rookie teams, it just reminds me that they can do it.
Arlington Public News congratulates all the participating teams for their effort, and we wish the winning teams good luck at states. This is Gayatri Sundararajan for Arlington Public News.
Recently, APN visited EcoFest at Arlington Town Hall, an annual celebration of the environment filled with music, educational forums, and hands-on activities. This year's event focused on energy, how we make it, measure it, and conserve it.
Good morning. I'm James Milan with Arlington Public News, and we are here at EcoFest 2015. The theme for this year's EcoFest, which is one of the larger indoor gatherings in Arlington each year, is energy. And we have a bunch of organizations here presenting what innovative ideas they have and services they provide, and we'll be going around and speaking to a few of them about just exactly what it is that they do.
Well, each year our committee sits down in September and starts thinking about what should we do. We hadn't done energy for a while. We've been doing this for about 5 years. We thought it was time to really focus on energy issues. We knew that electricity rates were going to be going up. We have Keystone Pipeline. We have just a whole lot of different energy issues. And of course, we know that fossil fuels are not here forever. They are finite. And we're looking to renewables, which is something Massachusetts is doing a very good job on. So we call this year's event Energy-Wise, Sparking Local Solutions.
We planted gardens on the sides of the school, and then we hold fundraisers for the school, and we also fun stuff, go to places, pick up trash, plant trees. We're currently hosting a fundraiser for buying light bulbs and power strips, and the profits go to Dallin.
What we pay for electricity in New England is pretty obscene, especially right now. That in conjunction with the incentives that the state provides, SRECs, SRECs, tax credits, state and federal. So really, believe it or not, Massachusetts is right now the second biggest solar state in the country. We just surpassed Arizona. So it's California, then us, believe it or not, even in snowy Massachusetts.
We provide weatherization assistance, heating system assistance. If people are income eligible, what we'll do is we'll have an energy auditor go out, do an audit of the house, and if they are eligible, we can provide them with free weatherization assistance and also free heating system assistance.
Well, we live in a very dense community, as we all know, and that's a wonderful characteristic of Arlington, but it also has its problems because we have small yards and we don't have as dense a tree canopy as some communities. A healthy tree canopy is excellent for a community because it keeps the community cool, and for aesthetic reasons, it's a big plus. This map shows the tree canopy in Arlington, and so in certain areas you can tell that it's a very, very leafy neighborhoods in this whole region. And then as you get into East Arlington and along Mass Ave, there's much less tree canopy. So these are the areas of town that we are targeting in terms of public tree planting campaigns, as well as encouraging residents to plant trees in their own yards.
It's a utility-sponsored program where for free, most residents in Massachusetts can have somebody come by to do a free home energy assessment. We're focusing on trying to reduce the use of resources in the home, mainly heating and cooling costs, water usage, electric usage, and it's a heavily funded program, so there's a lot we can do for free. Many homes we can come through and change out all their old inefficient light bulbs with efficient compact fluorescents and LED lighting. We can change out shower heads and sink aerators to conserve water for free. And then one of the big components of the program is we'll analyze the insulation in the home, check out the attic and the walls and the basement, make recommendations, and essentially National Grid and Eversource and other utility companies will pay for 75% of any recommendations we make, up to $2,000 total.
For Arlington Public News, I'm James Milan.
Well, Paul, I think EcoFest is a great event, very informational. You get information on a lot of alternative energy sources and renewable energy, which is fantastic. It's kind of the wave of the future, but all of these conversations have been going on for quite some time now.
Absolutely, and as they said, fossil fuel is a finite resource, so it really is a wave of the future. So it's good to see that Massachusetts is providing all these tax incentives to help make this happen.
Absolutely.
Arlington's Vision 2020 Diversity Task Group recently co-sponsored on Equal Justice, a forum on the criminal justice system in relation to race and class. Civil rights activists, lawyers, and officers discussed the issues in today's legal structure and the opportunities to create a more equal system. Producer Yawa Degboe has more.
Arlington Public News joined a packed house at Town Hall on Saturday, February 28, for an event organized by Arlington's Diversity Task Group and sponsored by other local organizations.
So the event is called Unequal Justice, the Consequences of Race and Class in the Criminal Justice System.
There's a lot going on in the nation right now. There's a lot of frustration and anger that officers are killing unarmed black men.
When it comes to the criminal justice system, there are issues that the wider community is not aware of.
A diverse crowd of concerned citizens, young and old, came in numbers to listen to an eclectic panel composed of Fred Ryan, Arlington's police chief, Bonnie Bachi-Williamson, co-chair of Arlington's Diversity Task Group, Frank Rudy Cooper, professor of law at Suffolk University, and Don Perry, parole reform activist.
I was born in North Carolina, Lewisburg, North Carolina. I spent most of my earlier teen years traveling from Massachusetts, New York to North Carolina. We have no decision about what type of situation that we're born into. And unfortunately, I was born into a very dysfunctional family. And just like Frank mentioned earlier, he talked about the statistics of young black males being incarcerated. That the general consensus is that 1 in every 3 black males will wind up in the criminal justice system. I am number 1.
Some avid listeners question the panelists to find solutions to the ongoing issue of unequal justice.
Arlington Public Schools are one of the co-sponsors of the event. And one of the other groups that has part of that is the Diversity Task Force, of which some of the members are on my Superintendent's Advisory Committee for Diversity.
So as a sponsor, why would you like to associate yourself with this event?
It's about education. I think that all of us, various ways, there could be reading, forums, classes, we all need to be educated educated about our situation in this country, be aware of the issues that are facing us in terms of inequality.
I learned many things. One speaker, he was many years in put in jail, many interview and many things, but he didn't do any wrong things. Sometimes this happen because his colors maybe someone doubt easy to, or maybe he was doing something wrong. This was easy to call and question and answer. But at the end of the day, he was becoming he's nothing any do the bad things in any mark in his life. So this I'm learning. So this means you research to not looking in the color or race, but they have some respect qualities.
This is Yawa Degbe with Arlington Public News.
News intern Julia Bloom is back with her travels around Arlington. This week we take a look at what that melting snow is revealing.
Hooray! Spring has sprung. Let's hope we can put those shovels away and go outside. The snow has been melting quickly, revealing many unique and interesting things. We can now see some of the grass that has been buried since December. It may be dead and brown now, but if the weather stays nice, new grass and hopefully flowers will start to grow. Most sidewalks and paths in Arlington are cleared, but some items are only starting to emerge from the ice. After vanishing for more than 2 months, a few benches, walls, grates, and trash cans are now visible in parks. There's also a lot of trash around which hasn't been moved since it was tossed. No one wants to see dirty bags and bottles, so if you see trash on the ground, be sure to throw it out. Old Christmas decorations are still up around town. Some were encased in slush, while others remained where they were hung before the holidays. As spring cleaning begins, a few will come down, but others will stay up to await next winter. For Arlington Public News, this is Julia Bloom.
You know, Michelle, spring officially starts in about 10 days. We'll see if the weather keeps up with the calendar. We'll see if that happens. I hope so.
I hope so too. I don't want any more snow. I don't care about records being broken. I'm good with this amount. This is good.
I think we all are at this point. There have been recent measles outbreaks across the U.S. Preventative vaccinations have become a source of contention between those who believe it is a personal choice and those who see it as a public health requirement. APN went on the streets of Arlington to find out your opinion about vaccines.
Hi, I'm Nick Gaw with Arlington Public News. We're here today in Arlington asking people their thoughts on vaccinations. Do you think it's something that should be instated by public health officials?
I mean, I feel like it should be a private choice. You know, you should be able to decide on, you know, what you want to do. I mean, vaccine's not always the best choice, but obviously you rely on, you know, the information of, you know, public officials and your doctors and things like that. But I still think it should be a personal choice like many other things.
You shouldn't mandate it, but if people choose not to have their children vaccinated, then there should be some penalty, like maybe they can't attend public school. So there has to be some consequences because I do think it's a public health risk.
I think it's a very complicated question, but due to the fact that I have a friend who does not agree with everything that's contained in some of the vaccines that are given out, namely the flu vaccine, she opted not to get a vaccine. So I understand her point of view, but then again, there's also children spreading disease in the schools, and I don't. It's a difficult question to answer.
I think it should be something instated by public officials. That way, kids are get vaccinated when they're younger, and they're going to school with kids that are all vaccinated. That way, there's not one kid that's not, which can sometimes cause issues.
Just as you wouldn't allow a parent to hurt a child if the societal and scientific proof is uncontroversial or whatever, that it's going to hurt the health, then it should not be the parent's choice. No, but if it's borderline or the scientific proof is not known or argument, then it should be. Then it shouldn't be. I'm not for forcing anything on people except when it's pretty certain that it'll be damaging to somebody else, and a child is somebody, is an independent life.
I think it should be a personal choice. I think that parents should be in charge of their child's health care. So if they decide that they want them vaccinated, that should be their choice. I don't think the government should have to rule over that, really.
I'm Nick Gott with Arlington Public News. We'll see you next time.
To learn more about how vaccinations work to prevent disease and to understand the desire for alternative homeopathic methods, APN spoke with Dr. Richard Moskowitz about the issue of vaccination.
This past January, the vaccination debate, sometimes quiet but never calm, got a shot in the arm in the form of the Disneyland measles outbreak. Immediately, those who were unvaccinated by choice were targeted as the weak link in this outbreak, and both our media and our legislatures pondered potential solutions. But can this complex debate be reduced to an us versus them argument, with one side right and the other necessarily wrong? To help lend some context and discuss this issue with me today is Dr. Richard Moskowitz. Welcome, Dr. Moskowitz.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Do you regard all of this activity and alarm as an appropriate response to the measles cases we've been seeing over the past 2 months?
No, I don't.
And why not?
Well, first of all, this outbreak is no different from many outbreaks that have occurred since the vaccine was introduced in the 60s, where there are a few dozen or at most a few hundred cases that appear from time to time. Most, if not all, of the outbreaks that I have studied, the vast majority of the cases are people who have been vaccinated. So that brings up a quandary to me. Because if the vaccine were as good as it claims to be, if it really gave genuine protection against the measles, then what is the problem? Then the unvaccinated kids would be a threat only to themselves. What that really says to me is what we already know, if we think about it, which is that vaccination does not confer a true, genuine immunity. If I were a proponent of vaccination, I would say, let's declare victory and go home. So there's a few hundred cases here and there, but you're not going to get any better than that. It has an attack rate of close to 100%. That is, it's one of the very few infectious diseases that if you're exposed to it and you've never had it before, the chances that you will come down with it are close to 100%. Mm-hmm. When I was a child, it was considered a normal disease of childhood in the sense that, yes, there were still some deaths and some serious complications, but they were rare comparatively. Almost everybody caught it. Almost everybody recovered from it without complications. That meant that not only would I never again get the measles, no matter how many times I were re-exposed to it, no matter how many epidemics were raging around me, but even more important was the nonspecific immunity, which nobody talks about, which is that my immune system had responded to the disease with a magnificent outpouring of the entire immune system, of every component of that. My immune system was primed and ready to respond acutely and vigorously to whatever else would threaten it in the future. What I take from that is that the purpose, the mission of the immune system is to learn how to respond acutely and vigorously to infection. Mm-hmm. That's natural immunity. It's absolute, it's lifelong, it's permanent.
Need vaccination be an us versus them issue, with one side right and the other necessarily wrong? Might all sides have not only their blind spots, but also claim some measure of wisdom and insight into a complex topic that will be with we humans as long as we remain mortal. On behalf of Dr. Richard Moskowitz, I'm Peter Bermudez for Arlington Public News.
A historic educational agreement is bringing a new learning platform to women in the Middle East. edX, a source of free online courses from the world's best universities, has teamed up with the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. Dr. Ismail Sorag Eldin, the director of the library, underlined the importance of this agreement as a powerful tool to provide education for young people and women in underprivileged areas in Egypt, the Arab world, and Africa.
In a historic educational agreement, the Library of Alexandria and edX became partners to bring educational platforms to empower women and fight the extremist ideology in the Middle East.
edX for us is an opportunity to implement the vision of the Library of Alexandria as a place of learning, a place of dialogue, a place of openness, a window for Egypt onto the world, a window of the world onto Egypt, and a leading institution of the digital age, but above all, a space of freedom where people meet, exchange ideas across cultures and across groups of people.
edX has three parts to its mission. One part is access to education, so bringing that not only to the privileged few, but to everyone, everywhere, whether it's rural communities or women or people who cannot afford higher education. It's very important to do that.
We did not have the technology to reach significantly large numbers until now. And edX is the platform that will enable us to do so. It will enable us to reach to remote areas in Egypt, to where children are deprived and young people are deprived of access to books and study halls, but where through the magic of modern technology we can actually bring the best teachers and the best materials all the way to them and actually link them into a network of learners and a community of scholars that transcends the boundaries of Egypt to the rest of the world. Women's rights are human rights. They are inherent in the notion of equality. And in the library, I'm happy to say that many of my colleagues are very able women, and I've never had a quota system or anything like that. Straight competitive merit.
Dr. Azza says that women in Egypt have had access to education for some time now. However, underprivileged women are not allowed to go to school and are limited by culture.
But in most universities now we have a lot of women, and it's not, I would like to also say it's not about lack of access, but it's about lack of quality.
To rise to the challenge of confronting extremism and violence with ideas of openness, pluralism, and dialogue and understanding, we will rely on knowledge being the most important thing. Once it is implanted in our part of the world, I think will be a fundamental mechanism in confronting these waves of extremism and violence that we hope to gradually eliminate in our battle for the hearts and minds of a younger generation.
On behalf of edX and the Library of Alexandria, for Arlington Public News, I'm Akriti Jagmohan.
An organization that works to improve the lives of young cancer patients is getting a big boost from the local Knights of Columbus. The KFC has partnered with Lucy's Love Bus. The bus provides pediatric cancer patients therapeutic services such as massage, horseback riding, and acupuncture. APN spoke with the director of Lucy's Love Bus about how it is helping young children cope with cancer.
Lucy's Love Bus is a program that helps children diagnosed with cancer receive therapy such as art, horseback riding, and acupuncture. We have the founder and executive director, Beecher Grogan, and Mike Keefe from the Knights of Columbus with us to tell us more about the organization and upcoming events. So welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rachel.
When was Lucy's Love Bus founded, and why?
So my daughter Lucy founded Lucy's Love Bus. Actually, I'm just the co-founder, but Lucy started it when she was 11 years old. She was diagnosed with an adult form of leukemia when she was 8 and was sick for 4 years. And during that time, we discovered the healing powers of integrative therapies such as Reiki, massage, acupuncture, She did chiropractic care, pet therapy, art therapy, music therapy, and really got huge benefits from those complementary therapies. Lucy had always been an activist. She was very upset when she heard that other children couldn't access it because of cost. So she said, well, that's not right. When I'm done with this, we're going to make sure all children can do it. So Love Bus was started in her hospital bed in Boston. She named it Lucy's Love Bus, and she really set out clearly what our mission would be, which was to help deliver comfort and quality of life to children with cancer until there's a cure.
Two special people being funded by Lucy's Love Bus. We have Patrick and his father Chris in our studio to talk about their experiences so far. So, how did you get started with Lucy's Love Bus?
My mom told me about it.
And what kind of therapy is he going through?
Art therapy.
Art therapy?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite kind of art to make?
Duck art.
Duck art?
Yeah, anything involving duct tape.
So what kind of designs do you make with your duct tape?
Lines.
Just lines with all different colors?
Mm-hmm.
So how has Lucy's Love Bus affected you and your entire family?
I'm gonna let my dad take that question.
All right, sounds good.
You know, I think with Patrick, the art therapy is very helpful because it takes his mind off of things.
Definitely.
Gets him calmed down. He also enjoys it, which is fantastic, but it's really a break from the day-to-day. You know, he had the diagnosis of cancer back in 2008, and then subsequent to that, he now has diabetes, and that was 2 years ago he was diagnosed with that. So he's had a lot of medical things on his mind, so it's great to have the escape of the Lucy's Love Bus art therapy.
By the way, don't I look great?
You look excellent.
Thank you.
Do you have any events coming up that our viewers could go to make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. We have a huge event coming up March 21st that I should let Mike tell you about because he organized it.
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you, Rachel. I'm happy to talk about the event. Yes, March 21st, 4 days after St. Patrick's Day, we're having the best St. Patrick's Day party in Greater Boston at the Arlington Knights of Columbus, 15 Winslow Street. Be assured that the $10 that you might happen to give us at the door and whatever else you might spend on raffle tickets is going directly to Lucy's Love Bus. There's no expenses involved in this event. The Knights of Columbus is offering a hall for free, so this is an expense-free event to the Love Bus, and we hope we have a terrific crowd.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming. And be sure to check out Lucy's Love Bus and attend their upcoming fundraiser concert. For APN, I'm Rachel Yen. Thank you for joining us.
Well, Paul, what an amazing legacy Lucy has left, and what a positive inspiration she's been.
Well, if Patrick is any example, the therapy is really working. He seems to be doing pretty well.
Very exciting.
Arlington Public News is a production of Arlington Community Media and functions as a gateway for local participation in issues and events of interest to the community.
Check out our latest segments on the web at news.acmi.tv and like us on Facebook. Please join us next time for another edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Michelle Marino.
And I'm Paul Werlin. See you next time.